The drone buzzed like a hornet on steroids. A smug little spy violating the sanctity of my ranch. I'd had enough of HOA Karen's nonsense. But this was war. My name's Cal, and I've been running this 50-acre spread in Dusty Hollow for a decade, raising cattle and keeping to myself. The land's been in my family for 3 generations, each blade of grass soaked in sweat and stubborn pride. But ever since Karen Bloom waddled into the presidency of the Dusty Hollow Homeowners Association, my quiet life's been under siege. Karen, with her pinched lips and a body like a sack of flour stuffed into a floral muumuu, had a knack for making everyone's business her own. She'd fine you for a crooked mailbox, lecture you on grass height, and once tried to ban my dog, Rusty, for excessive barking. The woman was a walking caricature of control, and I wasn't her only victim. It started small. Karen's HOA notices littered my mailbox like roaches, citations for my barn's unsightly paint, demands to trim my mesquite trees, even a warning about my truck's tire tracks being aesthetic violations. I ignored them. This was my land, not her suburban fiefdom. But Karen didn't stop. She'd drive by in her golf cart, peering over my fences, her beady eyes hunting for infractions. Neighbors whispered she was compiling files on everyone, but I figured it was just gossip. Until the drone. It was a scorching Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the air shimmers and the cattle huddle under the few scraggly oaks. I was fixing a fence post when I heard Ida high-pitched whine, like a dentist's drill in the sky. I squinted up and saw it, a sleek black drone, hovering over my pasture, its camera lens glinting like a vulture's eye. My gut twisted. This wasn't some kid's toy. It was professional, expensive, and it was spying on my land. I grabbed my shotgun from the truck, a 12-gauge I keep for coyotes, and took aim. One shot, and the drone plummeted like a stone, crashing into the dirt near the creek. I stomped over, heart pounding, and found the thing in pieces, its camera still blinking red. As I yanked out its memory card, I heard a screech that could curdle milk. Calvin Reed. You barbarian. That's my property. There she was, Karen, waddling across my field in her flip-flops, her face redder than a branding iron. Behind her trailed poor Mrs. Jenkins, our neighbor who'd been Karen's reluctant sidekick since her husband passed, and Deputy Harris, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Karen's jowls quivered as she jabbed a manicured finger at me. You'll pay for that, Cal. That drone was monitoring community standards. Community standards. I spat, holding up the memory card. This was over my ranch. Karen, you're spying on me, and I want to know why. She froze, her eyes darting to the card like it was a live grenade. You're paranoid, she snapped, but her voice wobbled. I'm protecting property values. Deputy Harris, a lanky man with a permanent squint, stepped forward. Let's all calm down. Cal, you can't just shoot things out of the sky. And Karen, you better explain why you're flying drones over private property. Karen huffed, crossing her arms. I don't owe him an explanation. He's the criminal here. I wasn't buying it. That night, I plugged the memory card into my old laptop, expecting to find footage of my cattle or maybe my rusty barn. What I got instead was a gut punch. The drone's footage wasn't just of my ranch, it was a surveillance jackpot. There were clips of Mrs. Jenkins' backyard, her hanging laundry in her nightgown, Mr. Lopez's garage, where he tinkers with his hot rod, even old man Carter's porch, where he sneaks smokes against his wife's orders. Karen had been spying on the whole neighborhood, cataloging every private moment like some wannabe dictator. But the real kicker. A folder labeled Cal's Violations. It had footage of me working late in my barn, hauling hay, even talking to my cattle normal ranch stuff. But there were notes attached, timestamps, and creepy comments like non-compliant fence height and potential illegal activity investigate. Illegal activity. I run a clean operation. Karen was building a case, probably to force me out or slap me with fines I couldn't pay. My blood boiled. This wasn't about property values. It was personal. The next morning, I called a neighborhood meeting at the community center, a dusty hall usually reserved for bingo nights. I brought the memory card and a projector. Karen showed up, all bluster, demanding to know why I was wasting everyone's time. I didn't say a word, just plugged in the card and let the footage roll. Gasps filled the room as neighbors saw their private lives on display. Mrs. Jenkins clutched her cardigan, mortified, as her laundry clips played. Mr. Lopez cursed under his breath. Carter just laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Karen tried to interrupt, claiming it was HOA business. But the crowd wasn't having it. You've been spying on us, Mrs. Jenkins shouted, her voice shaking. How dare you? Karen's face went from red to ashen. This is a misunderstanding, she stammered. I was ensuring compliance. Compliance, I said, stepping forward. You were blackmailing us, Karen. You wanted dirt to control us. And you thought you could run me off my land. The room erupted. Neighbors shouted, demanding her resignation. Deputy Harris, who'd been watching quietly, finally spoke. Karen, I'm going to need that drone's registration and your permit for aerial surveillance. If you don't have one, you're in deep trouble. She didn't. Turns out, flying a drone over private property without permission is a legal gray area in Dusty Hollow. But recording without consent, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. By the end of the week, Karen was out as HOA president, replaced by Mrs. Jenkins, who promised to burn the rulebook and start fresh. The neighborhood filed a class action suit against Karen for invasion of privacy. And last I heard, she was selling her house to cover legal fees. But the real justice came quieter. One evening, as I sat on my porch with Rusty, I saw Karen's golf cart roll by one last time. She didn't look at me, didn't honk or glare. She just drove, her shoulders slumped, her moo-moo flapping like a defeated flag. I'd exposed her for what she was, a bully who thought she could control everyone but ended up with nothing. I leaned back, sipping my coffee, the ranch quiet except for the crickets. My land was mine again, and so was my peace. Sometimes, all it takes is one shot to bring a tyrant down. The end.